This is the Joe Mullins Show, celebrating the best place in the world to live, shop, work, and play. And now, your host, Joe Mullins.
Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins of the Live, Work, Shop, Play Show, and welcome to the beautiful state of Florida, one of the most beautiful places in the world. What an amazing weekend we have. Hello to our Florida listeners, but I also got to welcome our national listeners. This show now has gone national. It played in many different areas of the country. I want to say hello to you guys as well. But if you're traveling to Florida, if you're visiting, if you live here, we want to welcome you here. If you're not and you're streaming from another area, we want to say hello to you. Welcome you to Florida sometime soon, because at some point, most everybody in this country is going to come to this beautiful state. And the reason they do is because we have developed becoming the model state in the greatest country of the world. And why is Florida the model state? Because we tackle the issues, we push them, we make sure that our state doesn't ignore problems, we handle things. That's streamed into other states, great states like Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina. We're working on New York. We're still going at that one. We're going to get some progress there. Virginia, West Virginia, just all the states, great places to be and to live, work, shop, and play. What is ironic, today's guest, I've got Chris Ullman with me. Chris, welcome to the show today.
It's great to be with you, Joe. I wish I was in Florida, though.
Yeah, but you know what? We were just talking about a few things and how some of the challenges. You're up in Virginia and you're dealing with some storms today. We're dealing with beautiful sunshine and warm weather. It's a problem. We have to work on that some. But I said the other day, our weatherman is like the San Diego weatherman. They get up, they just go, okay, it's going to be beautiful today. And then the next day, it's going to be another beautiful day today. At that point, you start trying to figure out how you can make your weather worthy of having. But Florida's the same way. But we do get rain. We do get some chaos and craziness. We also not long ago had something on our ballot that streams with something you guys are talking about. Now, you're the president of Eagle Forum. Forum. And Eagle Forum is a grassroots pro-family organization, and you guys are basically a voice for pro-family, some of the challenges and things that we see in this world, and especially the last few years when we had the different administration in, it seemed like family wasn't important anymore. It was more about equal rights and being able to say and do things to break down family values and cultures more than support them. Well, we've seen a shift. But there's still some things lingering out there that we have to pay attention to. One of them is very important. I am a sports and entertainment agent. I do a lot of traveling. A lot of our listeners know I travel to the major events. I was just in Atlanta. I was just in Vegas not too long ago. One of the things that I notice, and I've said it many times, I can go to these places and I can smell a crazy aroma. And I go, I know that smell. I've recognized it, I smell it, and I know exactly what it is. And I'll make a comment on it, and I'll go, the first thing I have to ask myself now, is this legal in this state? Is this something permissible, or is somebody doing this? And that's the smell of marijuana, the smell of what they can call it cannabis, they can call it 420, they can call it whatever they want to. But at the end of the day, a lot of my listeners know, and I haven't shared with you, I'm 14 years in recovery from drugs and alcohol.
Congratulations.
I have not had a drink of liquor or alcohol since August 16th, 2011. I haven't sniffed a bit of cocaine since August 16th, 2011. I haven't taken a pill. I haven't taken, done any of those kind of things since I haven't smoked a joint since August 16th, 2011. When I get in those elevators and I'm going in those places, I'm thinking people have rallied and they've said why they need to use it, what they need to do. There's several things that come into mind. Number one, am I going to breathe this and relapse? Is that fair for me? Am I going to smell this? Am I going to get drug tested, which I don't anymore, but I did. And I always worried when I went to events, if I breathed in the secondhand smoke, would I fail a drug test? Could I lose my job? Could I lose my path? Could I lose my career? And number three, do I really want to go get in a car and smell marijuana with a person that's getting in a car right across from me? Are they going to be inebriated? Are they going to be able to drive and be functional? So there's a lot of questions out there, but you guys' mission is y'all have taken on the 420 movement, the cannabis. Florida just recently had it on the ballots, and we were scared to death that we were going to get it passed. When I was in Vegas, I stood outside a bus stop and I watched people just sit at that bus stop. The buses come and go. They never had intention to get on. They were sitting there smoking marijuana, high as a kite, and they were saying it was for medical reasons.
Right.
They had stress. They had anxiety. Matter of fact, everywhere I went, there was a little booth every few blocks that said, "Do you have stress in your life? We can give you your medical marijuana card." And I went, well, I do have stress. And I'm thinking, here it is 14 years later. I'm sober. Where's the world gone to? Where have we changed?
Yeah.
I can actually go get my drugs legally now. That almost ended my life. How are you guys addressing that and using public information to let people know there's a different side to this marijuana?
Well, thank you. Thank you for telling me your story. And you brought up some points I really didn't even think about of the impact of secondhand marijuana smoke on former users who are trying to quit. That's obviously a problem. But we at Eagle Forum, we're very concerned about recreational use of marijuana, which is legal in 24 states, but also the medical use of marijuana. 40 states have legalized medical marijuana, but medical marijuana is nothing more than recreational with a little hall pass. You're supposed to go to your doctor, but we've had people even in Utah a guy who went in and said, "I hurt my arm in a go-kart accident." He got his medical marijuana card. Marijuana is not medicine. It's actually anti-medicine. There are significant health impacts of marijuana use, and very, very little benefits to it. Now, I will say the FDA has regulated pharmaceuticals that contain THC pills for cancer patients to help with appetite and things like that. We are not opposed to that. Those are pharmaceutical drugs. We are opposed to the idea of just marijuana pot shops and people self-diagnosing, self-dosing, and using marijuana with the excuse that somehow it's medicine, because we know that it's not medicine.
So what I see with marijuana is no different than cocaine. When I went into recovery and I told the doctor, he said, "Hey, what are you doing? Let's talk about your drugs and let's talk about your alcohol use." I went in totally understanding I was going to probably have to give up cocaine use. I didn't want to give up my alcohol use. I didn't understand marijuana and I didn't understand the pills, but I do know I went to a doctor, and you were talking about medical cards and medical things happening. I went to a doctor and said, "Hey doc, I've been doing cocaine for 4 years now, every day. And I'm getting a little nervous about it. But one of the biggest things I hate about it is coming off of it." And I said, "I just don't like coming off of it. And it's so brutal. So I stay on it." And the doctor said, "Well, I'm going to give you Klonopin or Xanax, and it'll help you come down off cocaine."
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I was going to take that Xanax, and it was going to make me not mind coming off of it, and I wouldn't do cocaine again for a while. Well, what it did to the addictive personality in me is I'd come down off cocaine. I'd start coming down, and I wouldn't mind it. And then all of a sudden, I'd do a little more cocaine, and then I'd need to come back up again. And then I would start coming down because I needed to come off of it. So I do and it just was up and down all day long. It never stopped. Then all of a sudden I went to a doctor and I said, "I've been doing this for 8 years now. I've been doing it every day of my life. I got 2 degrees and a master's. I'm a little concerned that I might be getting addicted." I was already well addicted.
Yeah.
The addiction was there. I was just in denial and didn't understand it. Well, the same medical doctor said, "We really don't know a lot about addiction." This was in 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "But I have heard Vicodin can help you with the cravings of cocaine." Yeah. So he gave me Vicodin.
Wow.
I started taking Vicodin, drinking alcohol, taking Klonopin, doing cocaine. All of a sudden, I go to the doctor and I said, "Doc, I mean, the common thing would, to me, the answer to this would be quit doing cocaine and you can sleep. But I go, Doc, I can't go to bed. I'm exhausted and I can't go to bed. I've been up and I cannot go to bed. To me, quit doing cocaine and get it out of your system and you'll sleep normal again. So he goes, here, take Ambien. So now all of a sudden I'm addicted to cocaine, alcohol, Vicodin, Ambien, and Klonopin. And I'm taking about 18 a day, 18 pills a day. I go to the doctor and I'm using marijuana to kind of balance it out. And I go to the doctor and the doctor says, you like the cocaine because you're ADHD and cocaine calms you. And I said, it does. It really calms me. He said, it's like Adderall. And I said, well, then maybe I should just start taking Adderall. He said at that moment, more people are addicted to Adderall in this treatment facility than they are cocaine. So I said, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do. I said, so doctors giving this medical advice and giving these pills and giving this marijuana, giving these tablets, giving these opioids, this is what the problem is. We seem to want to medicate things that in treatment, I learned it was mindfulness. It was becoming aware of your surroundings. It was mental health, working on your mind, getting stronger, developing a relationship with God, having a higher power that I could go to and say, okay, God, I can't handle these problems today. So instead of needing to take a drug to escape from them, I'm going to turn them over to you and trust that they will be resolved at the right time, at the right moment, the right way. That's having a higher power, having a God. Jesus is my higher power, but if somebody doesn't want to use the word Jesus, they can call him whatever. I had a guy in treatment call him the fairy. And I looked at the guy and I said, you can't call Jesus a fairy. And the counselor looked at me and he said, Joe, he said, no matter what he calls Jesus, if he has a higher power and he believes in it, isn't that God? And I go, yeah. He goes, maybe he's labeling it different because of some traumatic thing in his life. He said, he'll get there. Trust me, he'll get there. But using a drug for these reasons is not going to work. So we play the tape ahead. We've got marijuana now. Marijuana is the same way. You got all these things, reasons people say they need to use them. Nothing really backing it. Marijuana now, what scares me with it is I could do cocaine and nobody around me could get affected. You can smoke marijuana. And my God, when we went to the concerts when we were in our 17, 18-year-old stages of our life, I remember going to some concerts and I'd walk out of there with my head spinning. And I'd be like, oh my God, I think I just smoked a joint. I remember going to not a Grateful Dead, it was the Rolling Stones concert. And I was higher leaving that concert than I've ever been when I did drugs. And I was in sobriety. And I turned around and I said, this is dangerous going to stuff like this. So my comment would be, how do y'all educate and get people to understand that there's side effects with this stuff and there's secondary things in a state like Florida, Virginia? If we pass that in there, we're not enabling the people that need the marijuana. We're now impacting the people that don't need it, that are trying to stay away from it, or that, in my case, it's life or death not to breathe that stuff.
That is a great point. And what we're also doing is telling children that marijuana, either smoking it or gummies, is actually medicine, that it will help you with your insomnia, that it will help you with your anxiety. And we have seen, if you look into the medical literature, that actually sleeplessness, not being able to sleep, is a side effect of overusing marijuana. We see that actually marijuana does not help people come off opioids and stronger drugs. But we're pushing this idea that it is medicine, and it is not medicine. It is addictive. 30% of Americans who use marijuana are addicted to its use, are daily users. We just came out with a new book called Throwing Children Under the Cannabis that explains, not in scientific terms, but in plain English terms, about what is involved, what's involved in the industry, what's involved in the side effects, what's involved in, another thing that we didn't even talk about was that Chinese companies are coming in, buying farmland and growing marijuana to sell to Americans. That is not a healthy thing to do. We see that there's a huge tax windfall. There's safety concerns. I live in the DC area. We have the Capitol Beltway. For anyone who's ever been here, it's a major 4 lanes in each direction highway. You can drive down the highway with your window open and you can smell marijuana. How much marijuana do you have to be smoking for me to be going 65 miles an hour in my car and be able to smell it on the highway? That is a
Wow.
public health issue. Like you said, it's not just you going to a concert or being in an elevator, just being on the road with people who are stoned. And we know that marijuana, unlike alcohol, it gets absorbed into the body's fat. So alcohol, you drink, you're hungover, you drink a lot of water, you go to the bathroom a lot. It's a water soluble substance. It comes out. Marijuana, THC, stays in your body's fat for months. And can still have residual effects. So there are a lot of health effects, and we just need to educate people about the dangers with marijuana and stop the rhetoric that this is just a harmless drug and, oh, just take it, you'll be able to sleep. Oh, it's fun, it's whatever. It's not. It is dangerous.
Now, Chris, you brought up a good point too. And as we're talking, the marijuana, when you're smelling it and you're breathing it, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we smoked marijuana and it made us where we couldn't even think straight. We were slow. It made our decisions
Yeah,
cloudy. I remember sitting there in college trying to have a conversation, and I was like, I could not grasp my thought.
right.
How is marijuana back in the 80s and 90s when we did it bad for you? But now that when we do it in 2020, six or whatever year, whatever you want to say, now all of a sudden it's medically needed and it doesn't have that impact and it's not a bad drug and it won't hurt you doing everyday things. I couldn't do everyday things back then doing it.
Right.
Now all of a
Well,
sudden, what has happened between now and then? Is it not the same marijuana? Because I'm breathing it and it does the same thing.
Well, you know what? It is not the same marijuana, but it's not less. There's not less THC in it. There's actually more. Growers have been able to figure out how to grow the plant to yield a higher level of THC. So a lot of people like me and other advocates against marijuana say it's not your mother's marijuana. It's much stronger. There's, 90% THC, where the stuff that people smoked back in the 70s and 80s, when I went to Grateful Dead concerts, was like 4 to 5% THC. So it's really a marketing campaign like big tobacco. There is big weed that wants to make a lot of money. So they're saying it's safer. And the other thing is, when you go into these pot shops, and we have them now in Virginia, there's stuff, all different levels of THC, but the user is dosing him or herself. Unlike when you go and get an Adderall prescription, the doctor might say 5 milligrams a day, 10 milligrams a day. You as the user gets to decide what your dosage is going to be. Is it going to be a gummy that's, 50% THC? Is it going to be a gummy that's 90%? Are you just going to buy the flowers and the buds, whatever it is? So it's not the same pot. It's worse. It's much stronger and much more dangerous. And we know the impact on the developing mind. I mean, it creates all kinds of memory issues. Right now it's prescribed to a lot of older people. This will help you with arthritis or whatever else. People who might already have dementia or memory issues, but it destroys the adolescent brain. We know that. We know that it has lasting impact, losing IQ points for people who start when they're, 14, 15, 16, all the way up to 26 and 30 years old. It can impact your brain. So it's not the same marijuana. It's worse.
Yeah, and that's what my point was, saying back then it wasn't any better to be able to drive on. It's like alcohol.
Right.
Alcohol back then, you couldn't drive, you could get a DUI. The only difference between alcohol today and back then is the alcohol now has flavors in it. It's got different things, but they can actually increase it more. So it's not any less dangerous. it's more, but now you've got forms of vaping you can put the marijuana in. You've got forms of gummies and edibles you can put the marijuana in. It's still going to have the same effect. And that's what I'm trying to tell, but more so, more intense.
More
It's
so, and toxins in, especially the vape pens and stuff like that. The toxins that might be mixed in that, again, because um, anybody can grow it, anybody can manufacture it. There are a lot of dangers. It's actually 4 times the amount of tar that cigarettes have. So it's worse on your lungs. And what other medication is smoked? Let's just talk about smoking pot. No other medication is smoked. But yet there's this move by the Department of Justice, by the FDA to determine that marijuana is medicine, and it just simply is not. It's anti-medicine.
right. It's something that again, I had asked about Adderall and cocaine and the comparison, and they said, well, cocaine, you're self-medicating yourself. You're
Mhm.
giving yourself unbelievable doses of something to control the ADHD in you. And I told him I used to love it. One person could do cocaine and they could go clean a room and do some amazing things, have energy. I do cocaine and I can sit and focus. It was a focus drug for me. And I said, why is it a problem then if it does that to me? It makes me normal and calm. And they said, because you have no regulation over it. You're wearing your heart out. You're killing yourself. You're destroying yourself. I said, well, I'm not hurting anyone. And then immediately, a lot of loved ones, like my mother, came to me and said, you're hurting me. I had to bury your father when you were 2. I'm not burying my child. Those were some powerful words. And as I grow up and become more of a man and more of years have passed, I realize the devastation I could have given my family by burying me over a drug overdose, the legacy that I
Yeah.
would have left to my kids by having a drug overdose. That's not what God put us here on this earth for. That's not
No.
why he put us here. That's some of the devil's tools to distract us and make us think that. So when you look at making marijuana legalized and you don't think about the repercussions, there's a lot of people with secondary cancer, smoke cancer, lung cancer from people who
Mhm.
thought smoking was cool and okay that are
Right.
dealing with it today. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there with the marijuana that are going to deal with addiction relapses. They're going to deal with uh, car accidents, all kind of things from people smoking marijuana and doing it, thinking it's okay. How can people get involved in your organization and how can they help and how can they fight off? Florida fought it off last year and
I
we won.
know.
We won.
Yes.
We kept it from coming here. And I was praying to God. I was ready to move. I was actually considering Virginia as one of the states. I said,
No,
I'm
you don't want to come
moving
here.
and getting out of here if they legalize marijuana because I do not want to breathe that skunk smell all day long as I'm
Right.
walking around like you do in Vegas and places like that. Colorado, that's another one. But how do people get involved with your organization and how can they protect their state, their communities from having it overcome them?
Well, you can reach us at eagleforum.org, and you can order our new book called Throwing Children Under the Cannabis. We also have state chapters. We've got a state chapter in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Utah, California, Nevada, Illinois, Washington State, all over the country. We're looking for more members to form more states, but this booklet is really important because it will help you talk about it in a way that we can talk to our friends and neighbors. And our state chapters get involved at the state level. So we have been able to fight it off in some states. And we also have suggestions for regulations if you do have legalized marijuana. So about labeling, about making sure that there's testing done on it, making sure that if it is prescribed, it's prescribed for a doctor in person. Alabama did something maybe your viewers would be interested in. There's a drug called Accutane for acne, and my daughters were on it. And young women who take Accutane have to have a blood test, a pregnancy test every 30 days because it's very harmful to the unborn child. Marijuana is very harmful to the unborn. So what Alabama did in their medical marijuana program is they required women of childbearing age to go through the same Accutane type process of getting a negative pregnancy test every month before they could get their marijuana card to make sure that pregnant women are not able to get a medical marijuana card. So there's a lot of different things we can do, and we're working on all of them, from fighting rescheduling to regulating states that have already legalized to repealing legalization in states that are willing to do it. So it's
Chris,
eagleforum.org.
I love the fact that you guys are working with kids and getting with them. When I went into treatment, I remember looking at the guy and saying, this 12-step program, this education, this stuff should be taught in schools.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was going out having a fun time with my friends. I didn't realize I was beginning a life of addiction that almost took my life and took everything that meant anything away from me. The fact that we have groups like you guys, and the fact that we're putting messages out there to kids gives them hope and gives them a chance in a society that doesn't look so good, because we have made everything over the last decade that God called sin be politically correct.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to change what the repercussions. You can call it something different, but the outcomes of it aren't going to be any different. And the outcomes of using drugs to escape pain, to relax, to go to a different realm are never going to play out good for a family, for a person, or for a community. Thank you for the stuff you guys do, and thank you for working with these kids.
Well, you're very welcome. And thank you for sharing your story. You have actually inspired me to go out and say what the dangers are to people who are struggling or have been addicted in the past. I think that's a very powerful argument.
It's terrifying when I smell that and think this could go back. Alcohol's one thing, the drugs one thing. I've seen it around me a lot. I have a strong relationship with God. I have a strong program, but at the end of the day, I don't want something chemically. There are people addicted to things chemically that if they put it into their body, they'll go to another realm. I don't think I'm that way. I haven't shown any sign of it, but that doesn't mean the next person and the next person.
Right.
And if you don't care about yourself, at least care about that impact on that person, because I'm going to tell you, my kids, I don't want to ever think about them seeing the addictive part of me come back in my lifetime and ever have to deal with those repercussions.
Well, congratulations. We'll be praying for you, and we support you 100%. You know, it's all about your relationship with God and relationship with other people. But when we tell kids they can have a relationship with drugs that will take the place of healthy relationships, it's really damaging.
It really is. But thank you for doing what you're doing, and keep that message strong. And we'll be glad to have you on anytime.
All right, great.
And remember, Florida, and remember, America, we have the greatest country in the world. If you can't see that naturally, if you're not paying attention to the beauty that this country offers, take a step back and reevaluate where you are in life. Don't let things get so crazy in your life that you go to a drug or something to alter or make you be able to cope with it. We have the best country in the world. We've got the greatest people, and we're a country that stands behind God. When we stay that way, when we live that way, we will remain that way. Have a great weekend, and remember, live, work, shop, play Florida. Listen to us anytime on YouTube, The Joe Mullins Show, or Instagram, The Joe Mullins Show. You can pick up our shows there. We look forward to seeing you in a future broadcast, and if you got any ideas, please reach out and let us know. Have a great weekend.
You've been listening to The Joe Mullins Show. Find out more and engage with Joe by visiting the website, themullinscompanies.com.